Have you ever felt like there's something deeper happening beneath the surface of our turbulent times? As you watch the news unfold each day, witnessing the divisions, the struggles, and the uncertainty that seems to grip not just America, but the entire world, do you sometimes sense that we're living through something far more significant than just another chapter in history? You're not alone in feeling this way, and perhaps what you're experiencing is actually a spiritual awakening to something profound that's been hidden in plain sight for centuries. There's a restlessness in the hearts of millions today, a knowing that transcends political affiliations and religious denominations. It's the feeling that America, despite all its flaws and contradictions, was meant for something extraordinary. When you look at the founding of this nation, don't you find it remarkable how a small group of colonists, against all odds, managed to create something that would become a beacon of hope for people across the globe? The timing, the circumstances, the very words they chose to establish this republic. Could it all be mere coincidence? Or is there a divine hand orchestrating something far grander than we've been taught to believe? I know you've probably wondered about this, especially during those quiet moments when you're reflecting on the state of our world. Perhaps you felt torn between disappointment in what America has become and hope for what it could still be. The materialism, the moral confusion, the spiritual emptiness that seems to permeate so much of our culture. These things weigh heavy on the hearts of those who sense that we're capable of so much more. You might even feel guilty sometimes for loving your country while simultaneously feeling heartbroken by its shortcomings. But what if I told you that this very tension you're experiencing, this spiritual hunger for something deeper, is actually part of a prophetic plan that was set in motion long before the first European settlers ever set foot on American soil? What if the struggles we're witnessing today aren't signs of America's spiritual death, but rather the birth pangs of its true spiritual destiny finally coming to light? Throughout history, there have been those who understood that America's role in the world was never meant to be merely political or economic. The symbols woven into our national fabric, the spiritual language embedded in our founding documents, the repeated patterns of spiritual awakening that have swept across this continent. These aren't random occurrences. They're breadcrumbs leading us toward an understanding that might just change everything you thought you knew about this nation's purpose. You've probably noticed how certain events seem to align with an almost supernatural precision, how movements of spiritual renewal have emerged at precisely the moments when hope seemed lost. The very fact that you're drawn to explore these deeper mysteries suggests that you're part of something larger than yourself, part of a growing number of people who are being called to understand America's true spiritual destiny. The question isn't whether you believe in prophecy or not. The question is whether you're ready to discover what role you might play in the unfolding of something that could transform not just America, but the entire world. This journey we're about to embark on together will challenge everything you thought you knew about history, spirituality, and the very purpose of this nation we call home. If this resonates with the stirring you've been feeling in your heart, I invite you to join our growing community of seekers by subscribing to this channel. Together, we'll explore these profound mysteries and discover how each of us fits into this incredible tapestry of spiritual destiny that's been woven throughout America's past, present, and future. There are moments in life when you feel like you're standing at the edge of something vast and unknowable, staring into the mystery of existence itself, wondering if there's truly a divine hand orchestrating the chaos of our world. I've been there, in those quiet hours before dawn when sleep eludes you and your mind wanders to the deeper questions that seem to have no easy answers. Perhaps you've felt it too, that profound sense that we're living through times unlike any other, witnessing the unraveling of old certainties while sensing the birth of something entirely new on the horizon. When I was younger, I used to dismiss talk of prophecy and divine destiny as the musings of those who couldn't face the randomness of existence. I needed everything to make logical sense, to fit neatly into the boxes of reason and empirical evidence. But life has a way of humbling us, doesn't it? The more I've witnessed, the more I've studied the intricate patterns woven throughout history, the more I've begun to see that what we call coincidence might actually be the fingerprints of something far greater than ourselves. I remember the first time I truly looked, really looked, at the Great Seal on the back of a dollar bill. There it was, an unfinished pyramid with an all-seeing eye hovering above it, surrounded by Latin phrases that spoke of new orders and divine providence. For most of my life, I had carried this symbol in my wallet without giving it a second thought, but suddenly it felt like a message waiting to be decoded, a whisper from the past trying to tell us something crucial about our present moment. The more I delved into the writings of the Founding Fathers, the more I realized how deeply spiritual their vision truly was. These weren't just pragmatic politicians creating a government, they were mystics and philosophers who understood that they were participating in something sacred. Benjamin Franklin's interest in the divine mysteries, George Washington's profound sense of providential guidance, Thomas Jefferson's belief that America was being prepared for a special role in human history, these weren't footnotes to their political philosophy. They were the very foundation upon which they built this nation. But here's what haunts me, what keeps me awake at night pondering the implications. If they knew something we've forgotten, if they embedded hid clues and symbols and prophetic insights into the very DNA of America. What does that mean for us today? When I walk through Washington, D.C., and see the careful placement of monuments, the deliberate alignment with celestial bodies, the recurring themes of rebirth and enlightenment carved into stone and marble, I can't help but feel like I'm walking through a massive spiritual blueprint that we've somehow lost the ability to read. You might think I'm reading too much into these things, and I've questioned myself countless times, but then I remember the Great Awakenings, those extraordinary periods when spiritual fire swept across this continent like wildfire, transforming hearts and minds in ways that defied all logical explanation. The timing of these movements, their connection to crucial moments in American history, the way they prepared the ground for what was to come, it's as if unseen forces were orchestrating a symphony of awakening across generations. I think about the pain our nation has endured, the mistakes we've made, the ways we've fallen short of our highest ideals, and I wonder if this too might be part of the plan. Perhaps the darkness we're witnessing isn't the end of America's spiritual story, but rather the necessary prelude to its true beginning. Maybe every crisis, every moment of national soul-searching, every time we've been forced to confront our shadows and limitations, has been preparing us for something unprecedented in human history. There's something deeply personal about this realization, something that touches the core of who we are as individuals living through these extraordinary times. When I consider the possibility that America might be a vessel for divine purpose, I can't help but ask myself, what does that mean for my own life, my own spiritual journey, my own role in this unfolding story? If we're truly living in prophetic times, if America is being prepared to serve as a beacon of spiritual light in a world drowning in darkness, then none of us are here by accident. The freedom we enjoy in this country, the ability to seek truth, to worship according to our conscience, to explore the deepest mysteries of existence without fear of persecution, this isn't just a political achievement, it's a spiritual laboratory where souls can grow and evolve in ways that might not be possible anywhere else on earth. Every person who has ever found their way to these shores, whether by choice or by force, has become part of this grand experiment in human consciousness. As I reflect on these profound mysteries, I'm reminded that understanding is a journey best shared with fellow seekers. If these thoughts resonate with something stirring in your own heart, I invite you to join me in continuing this exploration by subscribing to this channel, where together we can dive even deeper into the sacred mysteries that surround us all. I want to share something with you that has been weighing heavily on my heart, something that might resonate with the quiet ache you've been carrying deep inside as you watch the world around us unfold in ways that feel both terrifying and strangely hopeful. There's been this growing sense within me, and perhaps within you too, that we're standing at the precipice of something extraordinary, not just a political shift or economic transformation, but a complete metamorphosis of what it means to be human, to be American, to be alive in these unprecedented times. For years, I struggled with what felt like an impossible contradiction. How could I love this country while simultaneously feeling heartbroken by what we had become? How could I hold space for the profound spiritual heritage of America while witnessing the relentless march of materialism that seemed to devour everything sacred in its path? I remember lying awake at night, feeling torn between hope and despair, wondering if the America I believed in, the one that existed beyond politics and profit margins, was nothing more than a beautiful illusion I had created to cope with harsh reality. But somewhere in that darkness, something began to shift. It started with small moments of recognition, a conversation with a stranger that revealed unexpected depth, a community coming together in crisis with inexplicable grace, a young person asking questions that suggested an ancient wisdom was stirring in their soul. I began to see that beneath the surface chaos, beneath the noise of our cultural wars and economic anxieties, something profound was awakening in the hearts of ordinary people. You've felt it too, haven't you? That sense that we're being called to something higher, something that transcends the narrow confines of what we've been told success and happiness should look like. Maybe it hit you during a moment of loss when material comforts felt hollow and meaningless. Maybe it came through a period of questioning when the old certainties no longer satisfied the deeper yearnings of your spirit. Or perhaps it emerged slowly, like dawn breaking over a landscape you thought you knew, revealing dimensions of possibility you had never imagined. What moves me most deeply is the recognition that this spiritual hunger isn't a weakness or an escape from reality. It's actually the most realistic response to the times we're living in. The systems that once promised security and meaning are crumbling before our eyes, not because they were inherently evil, but because they were never meant to be the final destination. They were scaffolding, temporary structures designed to hold us while something far more magnificent was being constructed in the invisible realms of consciousness and spirit. I think about the generations who came before us, those who suffered and sacrificed to build the material foundation of this nation, and I wonder if they somehow knew that their labor was preparing the ground for something they might never live to see. The abundance we've enjoyed, the freedom we've inherited, the unprecedented opportunities for spiritual exploration that exist in this country, what if these weren't accidents or mere byproducts of capitalism and democracy? democracy, but rather the necessary preconditions for a spiritual renaissance unlike anything the world has ever witnessed? The pain you've been feeling, that sense of displacement and longing that seems to intensify with each passing year, might actually be the early labor pains of a new kind of consciousness being born. When I observe the younger generations, I see souls who refuse to accept the trade-offs their parents made, who demand authenticity over affluence, purpose over profit, connection over consumption. They're being called to integrate what previous generations had to choose between: spiritual depth and material well-being, individual freedom and collective responsibility, ancient wisdom and cutting-edge innovation. There's something profoundly healing about recognizing that we're not witnessing the death of America, but its spiritual birth. The chaos, the divisions, the apparent madness that surrounds us. What if these are the necessary contractions that precede the emergence of something unprecedented in human history? A civilization that finally learns to wield material power in service of spiritual evolution. A nation that becomes a living example of what's possible when human beings remember who they really are and why they're truly here. This transformation isn't something that will be imposed from above or orchestrated by politicians and institutions. It's already happening in the hearts of individuals who are choosing love over fear, service over self-interest, truth over convenience. Every time you choose to respond with compassion rather than judgment, every moment you prioritize inner peace over external validation, every instance when you trust the deeper wisdom of your heart over the anxiety of your mind, you're participating in the birth of something sacred. As these reflections settle into your awareness, I invite you to continue this journey of discovery with me. If these words have stirred something within you, consider joining our community by subscribing to this channel, where together we can explore the profound transformation that's not just coming to America, but emerging through each of us as we awaken to our true spiritual destiny.